What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm changing out a Suburban ST60 water heater, tankless water heater that was getting an E3 code. I did have an intro for this already, but it got lost when I had a phone accident, lost all the stuff on my previous phone. But the rest of the video I have. So what I'm doing here in this video is just going through and replacing a tankless water heater, but the reason this was getting replaced is because of an E3 code, which on these Suburban units means failure to ignite and not overheating or whatever it says on Google. On the Furions it's overheating, but on the Suburbans it's failure to ignite. And so I do talk about what causes this. In this case, though, it was a warranty replacement for the customer, and I do believe Suburban's actively working on this, or at least working on a solution. So follow along, and we'll get to the video here, and you can see the process of how to replace and what was going on with this water heater. So this is the water heater in question. It's a Suburban, actually, Suburban ST60. It's got this problem, water gets in this vent, and I don't know if you can see it down there. But on the bottom of this fan is this tube, which leads to this pressure switch. Water gets in here. I bet if I take this off here right now, no water in there. It's probably inside the pressure switch. So I'll just put that back on for now. Since we'll be replacing the whole water heater anyway, we can take a look at it a little bit later. So like I said, it's a fairly straightforward process. First thing that you're going to want to do, the first thing I like to do after making sure the water is turned off, is find your low point drains. In this case, this is a fairly simple trailer. It's right below where I'm working. And drain them. Open those up to make sure that you don't have any water in the lines, and when you disconnect it inside the trailer, you won't spill any, or as little as possible. And next thing, or first thing, make sure the propane is turned off. I only say the next thing because you typically have more issues forgetting to turn the water off or drain the lines than the propane, since it's a safety issue. And we need to access them anyway, so I've already gone ahead and made sure these are turned off. As I said, this is a fairly simple trailer, so fortunately this one it's going to be straightforward. You would find the water heater on the inside, which in most cases is usually buried under the stove or somewhere that isn't easy to reach. However, in this case, we have this closet, and it's very easily accessible in here. So in this case, just a couple of screws. And make sure you've got them all together. Now normally I wouldn't just drop them like that, but as I said, I've only got one hand if I'm recording. So I'll gather those up, and in this case we'll just take our panel out here, and voila. Here's the back of our water heater. What we have here, we've got our gas line, our hot water out, cold water in, power, and thermostat wires. Or control wires in this case. I say thermostat because I'm used to the furnace, which is also usually 2 blue wires for the thermostat. So these will go back to your control panel. The control panel, which in our case is located in the bathroom, so we want to make sure this is off. And then there's a switch on the water heater, which will go turn off as well. Right here's the main shutoff for the water heater, so we'll just make sure that's off, even though That's not really going to make much of a difference in the grand scheme of the replacement. Let's go back in and disconnect all the other lines and wires. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is disconnect our blue wires here, which is really simple. They've used these Wago connectors. I don't really know how to feel about these things. I mean, I guess they work in this low voltage context, so that's alright, but I don't like really seeing them used in high voltage. Well, say 120 volts. I'm not sure that it's really appropriate. Disconnect our power. Get those out of the way. Then we'll disconnect the water. Now I got rags under here. I typically use rags because in most cases there isn't really room for a tray. So there's not much you can do. Sometimes you're gonna spill water. Usually draining the lines out from the low point helps a lot with that, but sometimes there can still be water trapped in places. So there's one. It's always a good idea to inspect the gaskets in here. Now this one should probably be replaced, and I'll see if I have a couple of spares on me to replace this for the customer. These don't need to be on here very tight. Unfortunately, from the factory, they screw the hell out of them on there, and they end up crushing and ruining the gasket. So chances are, if I try to reuse those, they might leak. Definitely replace that one for sure. And last but not least, and for no particular reason, get the gas line disconnected. I guess it's easier to reach this when all the other hoses aren't in the way. There's obviously some gas still in the lines. Or those are still on. Now, before I do this, because there's going to be a little bit of gas in the line, and the furnace is directly below this, I'm going to make sure that our furnace is off. Now, I know it is because it's July and nobody's using their furnace right now. At least not in this part of the world. So that's off. Totally off. And can get in here, undo this, which shouldn't be too tight. There we go. And gas line off. Now generally this should be plugged. However, I left my plug set at the shop. But since it's just me here, this is going to be okay because I'm going to hook this back up. And I know there's no chance that somebody else is going to turn the propane on because nobody else is here. So the next step in this whole process is getting it loose from the outside. So I've got to remove these screws all around the outside and break the seal behind it. And then after that, it will be taking those screws out on the side, top and bottom. Although in this case they're buried under sealant. So I can't really do this with one hand, so I'm going to get this unscrewed and broken free. So the screws have been removed from the outside, and there doesn't look to be anything holding this one in other than those from the outside. So I'm going to try and push it out to try and break the seal. Now we do got to be careful of the outside and the siding. It has decals. So let's go take a look and see what's going on out there, because we do have it a little bit loose. So it's still pretty stuck on there, and we got to be careful of the decals. So one of my tools of choice is these panel poppers. Sometimes you can get under there and pry them out without damaging anything, which I'm not going to do this here on camera because I can't see and concentrate. What we want to do is typically get them underneath there as good as you can, and the sides are much easier because then you don't have to worry about wrecking the decals. And I don't know if you can hear that, but it is about 12 in the afternoon, and there's literally a rooster going off at this campground. Now, for the record, I'm not trying to salvage this sealant, this gasket material, because I'm going to use butyl putty and other sealant, silicone caulking. So I guess, I don't know, I guess I ended up doing this kind of on camera. But see if I can get it on the other side here with my right hand. This is easier with two hands. Go. Coming free now. So I'll use my thumb to kind of push away. Not on these spots, you will crush them. Don't ask me how I know that. Because if you do ask me, I'm just going to say I watched the new guy do it. There we go. She's free. Mostly. Alright, so I'm going to slide that out of there. I'll be right back. Alright, there's the screws for the doors loose. It's out of the trailer, mostly. So I can work at taking this door off, which... oh, missed one. No, I didn't. It's still stuck in there. Just missed a couple. Alright, there's it pulled out with the screws for the doors removed. Door. Let's see if it's off as easy as it should here. I didn't cut that. Don't usually have to, depending on what they use. I also usually have two hands to pull this off. There we go. So that door's removed. I reuse this one on the customer's unit. So I'm going to get that out of there and we'll get the new one. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is open the already opened brand new water heater and prepare the existing door to go on, which has already been prepared. And this is a pretty straightforward process, obviously. Just put the door on and the same screws back in. Once it's all prepared and assembled, go ahead and slide it back in the hole. Now I've added extra layer of butyl putty tape here just because of these valleys in the siding, and up here because of that. It's not needed down here because this will make good contact, but this will fill in that gap that's left behind with the other putty on the door. Okay, it's all mounted. Just need to get the screws in there to pull it in. That will fill in any gaps there. I did have to cut some siding out of the way that was getting in the way to slide this in and pull the other one out. But I'll get those screws in there and then we'll be inside to the electrical, gas, and water and testing. Screws in, pulled down, any remaining gaps will be filled in and we'll seal them after hookup and testing. And I'll come out here, trim this, and make this look all nice. Now, I bet you've been wondering what causes this problem. I'm not sure if you can see it. I tried to show it before, I think. But right there, that little nozzle, that little brass nozzle that's right about there. And sometimes corrosion. Sometimes water just gets in there and it plugs up the pressure sensor. Let's go get this hooked up and tested. Alright, so inside now. Just about time to hook this stuff up and just do some testing. That's all. So, gas line, these just go on, you'll do hand tight and then just a little snug turn. Like that till it's secure. You don't need this tight, you don't need this reefed on there incredibly Hulk-like. So fittings on here. I do apologize about the poor quality. It's hard working with one hand and I'm not looking at the camera, I'm looking at the job that I'm doing. Here's our blue wires. And I gotta find our power wires again. They're back here somewhere. There. Untangle that a bit. I am not happy about RV wiring, but there's not much I can do about it. I don't build them. Okay, I'm just going to get these hooked up because it's easier to do with two hands. It's all hooked up in here. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go back outside and start turning on the water process, which is, you know, closing up the low point valves, pressurizing the system, and then letting the air out of it and running that through to make sure we purge all the air out of the tankless water heater. So let's go outside and do that. So I'm going to turn on the water first, and since I can see the low point drains from here, I want to make sure that I got water flow there. Yes. So now that I've tested that and there's water flow, I'll close the cold, and this will allow the water to go through the cold line and should start spewing out the hot. And there it is. So I'll leave that on, and I'll go over here, close it up, and go test the rest of the system. We also got to turn it on here. Heard a click, so that's good. Get the instructions. Other things out of here, they're unnecessary for this at the moment because we already have the control panel inside hooked up. This is not a new install. Back inside, and we've got a bit of a leak. So tighten that up some more. That one wasn't tight enough. That one is. Lift that up. That'll be okay. It's just a little bit. Nothing to worry about. It shouldn't cause any water damage. Water damage typically happens when it's a continued problem. I don't see any leaking there. Let's go ahead and turn it on. Alright. Now the propane's not on, so it won't fire. Let's turn on the hot water. Detecting water flow. The fan comes on. And of course it won't fire because the propane's not on. So we go turn the propane on and we'll do a full test on this. Alright, propane's turned on. Let's finalize this and make sure that it fires up properly. Yep. Detects water flow, activates the fan to vent the carbon monoxide, and then activates the flames. Temperature's rising. And I definitely have hot water at the top. So this is a functional system for the customer now, whereas it was previously non-functional due to the water and the pressure switch. And you know, normally it's a simple fix, you can just blow the water out. But in this case, because it's warranty, the company just went ahead and warrantied, and I come out and replace it. So I'm going to get all this wrapped up, get this put away, and finalize the seal on the outside of the water heater. So that's been sealed up for the customer now. We're all done and we're good to go. That's the end of this job. They have hot water again, and at least until it rains again. So we'll see what happens. In the meantime, what I like to do here when I'm done is make sure that we turn the water off, because I don't like to leave the water on. You never know what happens. So the water's off, it's all set up, and customer's good to go. Thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask below. By all means, like the video. It helps get it around, share it. And if you want to see other videos, let me know what else you guys would like to see, and I'll do what I can. Thanks for watching.